Alright battlers, welcome back to a brand new Fusion Cup video. Today's topic is stress testing and scrimmages. We are going up against my friend XFactor from Orlando, Florida. He has chosen 3 Pokemon that he will use over and over again, and I picked a batch of 12 Fusion Cup Pokemon to throw against him just to see if we can break that line, give him different looks, kind of experiment and see what his line is good at and what it fails at. So here we go with Golbat facing off against Altaria. Altaria is the superior flyer here. Golbat has little chance. Even with double Shadow Balls, you're probably not going to win this matchup. We are able to get to the Poison Fang there and bring it deep into the red, and I did not want to give up switch advantage in this situation, but he was able to bring down Golbat. He does fire off the Sky Attack, and we're able to take him down with the Dragon Breaths. In comes Alolan Ninetales, in comes Whiscash, and there's the Venusaur. This is not what I wanted at all. He has built a very, very nice line of 3 here, which you're going to see a few more times in the video, and Whiscash is not going to be able to Blizzard, break the shield, and deal with the Alolan Ninetales, so I let it fall. In comes Altaria, and my only hope is to get enough energy together for a few Sky Attacks, but these Dragon Breaths are not doing enough chip damage to bring down this Venusaur comfortably, so I have to go for my own Sky Attack here, which does get shielded. So I know a Sludge Bomb is on the way, but I'm able to get one more Sky Attack to get this Venusaur off the battlefield. It doesn't matter though, because in comes Alolan Ninetales, and those charms are going to erase us, and that is GG's. For the next game, I lead Alolan Muck into Altaria, and trainers, this is a really, really cool match right here. My Alolan Muck goes straight for the Dark Pulse here, which does get shielded. Now, this looks like a losing matchup, but we are going to turn it around in really, really dramatic fashion. I do decide to shield that Sky Attack and then go straight for the Acid Spray. If you notice, I did 6 Snarls, so I need 2 more to get to another Dark Pulse. We get there actually after 2 more, and we go straight for the Dark Pulse. Will it be enough? And it is. We drop that Altaria with the Dark Pulse after the Acid Spray setup. In comes Alolan Ninetales, and I hesitate here, trying to remember what he had in the back. I do bring in my Noctowl though as soon as he swaps into Venusaur, and this is a very, very good situation for us. I really love a Venusaur in this cup because it offers you a lot of coverage against the Mud Boys, and its poison typing gives you some defense against the Charmers. I do think it is a soft counter for Fairies, something like a pure Steel type, or something like a Tentacruel is probably a harder counter to the Fairy types we're going to see in this cup, but Venusaur is an excellent flex option. And I farmed up a couple more wing attacks so that I could fire off the Sky Attack against Alolan Ninetales. I switch into my Venusaur here because I don't want him to get to the Ice Beam and actually force him to use the Psyshock here, so we pull this game out. Even though we were in a very favorable situation, XFactor almost played his way back into it, and that was a great game. For Game 3, I lead Bronzong into Altaria. Now, this is a losing matchup for Altaria in just about every situation. I'm going to go straight for the Psyshock here. Bronzong's Steel typing gives it a lot of resistance against those Dragon-type Dragon Breaths. So we've already worked that Altaria down to a little over half health. I'm going to allow the Sky Attack through, not doing much damage there, and then I go for another Psyshock. So I'm putting a lot of pressure on Altaria. We do take both of those shields, so we are at a 2 shield advantage, which is really, really nice. I decide to let Bronzong fall there, and I do have my Golbat and my Swampert in the back. So Altaria gets to another move here, and I need to keep my Golbat healthy for whatever is in the back, so I do decide to shield the Sky Attack. I go straight for the Poison Fang to try to bring it down. And then XFactor is going to think things over. He comes in with Alolan Ninetales. Another reason to love Golbat is that its Poison Fang gives you some coverage against the Fairy types. Its Poison type can be a weakness because it is weak to Psychic, but here we see Swampert versus Venusaur, and I do have Sludge Wave on my Swampert. You're going to see here, though, trainers, that because Swampert is not a Poison type, it doesn't get stabbed, so the Sludge Wave is good, but it's not quite good enough. Venusaur is going to beat us there, and we are going to absorb an attack from it with our Golbat. It is the Sludge Bomb, and luckily not very effective. We do survive that. In comes that Alolan Ninetales, which has to be close to Psyshock, but we are quick, and we get to that Poison Fang for the win. For the next game, I lead Poliwrath into Altaria, and trainers, I know he's going to lead Altaria. I'm just trying to give him different situations, different looks. We come in with the switch in with Bronzong against this Alolan Ninetales, and I like this matchup as well because Bronzong's Confusion actually does a good chunk of damage to that Alolan Ninetales. And despite being a psychic type who does not do well against Charmers, Bronzong's steel typing gives it just enough bulk to make this match favorable on Bronzong's end. So we do fire off the Psyshock there. In comes Altaria. I'm going to go here for another Psyshock, which is just icing on the cake. This is great, a great situation for me. He does shield it using his last shield as well. So we know this Altaria is defenseless. I do decide to bring in my Alolan Muck, and XFactor is actually going to play his way back into this game in dramatic fashion. I do fire off the Dark Pulse here against the Venusaur. And now it's a race. I do decide to bring in my Poliwrath, and we get to that Dynamic Punch, which is going to be enough to bring down the Venusaur. So a lot of fancy swapping here, but here is where things go wrong. He comes in with that Altaria, and he's going to land this Sky Attack really quickly. He had a ton of energy from the matchup previously. In comes my Alolan Muck, and here I think I can do the same thing I did earlier and go for the Acid Spray and the Dark Pulse, but trainers, I forgot all about Dragon Pulse. Dragon Pulse is going to bring us down, and XFactor wins that game. For the next game, I lead Altaria into his Altaria, and here he is testing how good his Altaria is. He is testing those IVs, trainers. I do go for the Sky Attack here, and we are able to pull off the one finger trick as well on the right side of the screen. We are going to work up to a second Sky Attack, and he's already burned one shield. He's actually going to burn a second shield here. My Altaria is marginally better, so we have two shields and switch advantage, and this game is pretty much GG's. I decided to bring in my Alolan Sandslash here. We're going to land an Ice Punch against the Venusaur, and because that Heracross I have in the back is not going to do well against Alolan Ninetales, I decided to bring it out and get a little mileage out of it. This wasn't necessary. Alolan Sandslash could have easily walled both of these Pokemon, especially with the Gyro Ball moveset that I'm carrying, but I wanted to get a little mileage out of the Heracross just because I had it as a resource, and there's no reason not to. Gyro Ball is going to one-shot Alolan Ninetales. GG's. Going to the next match, I lead Bronzong into Altaria, and as we saw before, this is generally a winning matchup for Bronzong. I do think Psyshock is obviously the way to go, that Bulldoze is going to be resisted. I have made that mistake in the past where I've gone for the Bulldoze because it is a higher energy cost move. Maybe for some reason my brain assumed it would be better, but Psyshock is definitely the way to go. He already burned one shield on our first Psyshock, and we actually get that second shield as well. So XFactor is really experimenting, trying to win switch advantage here, and I'm going to play these things a little bit differently than before. I do decide to shield that attack. A bunch of switch shenanigans go on here, trainers, and wouldn't you hate if this happened in the tournament? I'm trying to pull up my switch tray, and I switch into something really stupid. This Shift Tree stands no chance against Alolan Ninetales, and then in comes Whiscash, and at this point, trainers, I've messed up so badly, this game is pretty much a lost cause. It is Whiscash against the world here, and XFactor is going to bring in his Venusaur, and those Vine Whips are going to wrap it up. I do get to the Blizzard here, which is nice. It's all well and good. So we bring down the Venusaur, but in comes that Altaria, and GG's. Going to the next game, I decided to lead Altaria into that Whiscash, so he did switch around his line of 3 for the second batch of battles. I definitely think it's fun to test different lines, and if you have a good enough training partner, a kind and respectful enough training partner like XFactor is, you'll get lucky enough to do that. I mean, there's very few players who do this. A lot of players just want to go for all the wins they can, but to get to that next level, I really think things like stress testing and these little fun scrimmages we do are part of it. So he does land that Frenzy Plant. As you can tell, Venusaur's Frenzy Plant rocked my Alolan Ninetales. He didn't even need to use the Sludge Bomb, and he has a Sludge Bomb ready for my Altaria too. So this Venusaur is putting in work, trainers. I'm going to decide to shield this next attack, which is Frenzy Plant. And then I try to go for the farm down with Venusaur, and we fail miserably, trainers. We screw that up pretty bad. We do get hit by the Sludge Bomb. In comes Altaria, and I'm going to go for my own Sludge Bomb. And as we learned from earlier in the video, Venusaur is actually going to hold on for a little while against these Dragon Breaths. I do overtap and fail to get to the Frenzy Plant, but I get the Dragon Pulse right here to put an end to his Altaria. And then in comes that Venusaur, and sad Venusaur loses. In comes a Whiscash, and we're actually not... or we actually are going to shield, and XFactor has ice in his veins. Matter of fact, it's a Blizzard. Really, really nice bait there, and really nice win. GG's XFactor. Going to the next game, I lead Altaria into that Whiscash again. So I'm playing this match the same way we played it in the first situation. I do swap here into Venusaur. Now trainers, I actually have an idea for a video series called Win Conditions, and it's based roughly off of WildSusanBoyle's, I don't know how you would say it, term, phrase, or quote that he developed, where he said, in this matchup, there is a possible win condition if X, Y, and Z occurs. And I was thinking about doing the same 3 Pokemon in the same matchup, but playing it in different ways each time so that you can see all of the incredible ways that these matches can go down, all the different variables that are at play, all the different levels of strategy that go into it. If you are interested in seeing a series like that, a win condition series, let me know in the comments down below. I think it would be a lot of fun. I think it would help a lot of trainers as well, just to see how these matches unfold and what player tendencies are. So if you're interested in that, let me know. Getting right back into the game though, we are going to use a shield there from the Whiscash, and at this point I'm going to let it through, and it is the Blizzard. So again, very, very nice bluffing by XFactor here. He definitely got the better of me. His mind games were working, their magic. So I have a very weak Alolan Ninetales. In comes Venusaur, and my only hope is to get to a double Psyshock, which I do get to the first one here, but trainers, I think it's pretty obvious we didn't land enough charms in the process, and he actually gets to another Frenzy Plant. GG's Venusaur and GG's XFactor. In this next game, I decided to lead Bronzong into Whiscash. There are a few different ways you can play this matchup. I definitely think landing the Bulldoze is key. It's going to do more damage, but you have to be so careful of those Mud Bombs from Whiscash. I do fire off the Psyshock and then look for the swap into my own Whiscash. Out comes Venusaur. So here we're going to go straight for the Blizzard. We've been baiting all day, and I hope to not get a shield, but we do get the shield. So XFactor predicted me correctly there. He does land the Frenzy Plant against Whiscash, and I see no reason to shield, but I have put him in a position here where I'm able to bring in my Bronzong, and these confusions are going to do a load of damage to this Poison Grass type Venusaur. He's going to land the Frenzy Plant, which again, Venusaur when back into a corner is still such an animal. Those Frenzy Plants hit so hard. I'm going to fire off a Psyshock here against Whiscash, and I'm almost positive that I did 6 confusions, so I should have another Psyshock ready. I'm going to shield the Mud Bomb here, and then we're actually 1 Psyshock away. In comes Altaria, and I have 1 shield, so I go into my Shiftry here. I'm going to over farm a little bit here on the Snarls. My goal is to land double Foul Play, and this is just where Shiftry flexes its muscles so hard, trainers. If you can block that 1 Sky Attack from Altaria, it is bad news bears for your opponent. I get to a double Foul Play, and Shiftry is on a roll. Shiftry is heating up. In comes that Whiscash, and 2 Snarls later, we get to the Leaf Blade to bring down the Whiscash. Snarl Shiftry is going to wrap this game up for us nicely. For this match, I decided to lead Venusaur into that Whiscash, and again, I'm trying to force him to switch and force him to encounter different situations. I have double flyers in the back, so I load up a ton of energy with Venusaur, and this is actually another strategy component that I wanted to talk to you guys about. If you want to see more videos about things like this, let me know in the comments below. I will explain it in just a second. Here we come with Noctowl using the Sky Attack against the Altaria. I'm trying to build up to another Sky Attack here, and XFactor is actually going to land the Dragon Pulse, which does more damage than the Sky Attack. I definitely think if you're going for the Hail Mary move, that is the right thing to do. He is going to decide to shield there, and he's going to farm down our Noctowl, and he's got a boatload of energy now. I bring in Golbat. I know the Sky Attack is coming here, but I allow it through. Golbat's going to survive that pretty nicely, and I'm trying to Wing Attack down, but the Dragon Breath is so oppressive against Golbat. It's just not as bulky, not as dense as Noctowl, and it definitely shows. Now, in this situation, trainers, I'm hoping to draw that shield. If you remember, I have a Venusaur with a load of energy in the back, and if I get the shield here, I'm going for the immediate swap. We get the shield, we make the swap, in comes the Venusaur with the Frenzy Plant. So, I guess the concept I wanted to cover is front-loading energy, even if you're in a losing matchup, and then using that later in the game to, when the shields are down, really just catch your opponent in really clutch situations. So I don't know what you would call that, a front-loading, a charge move, or what you would call that concept. If you think it's been described before by somebody else, let me know what they called it in the comments down below, because I'm really interested to hear. I do come in with my Golbat here to try to wrap this match up. We're going to land the Poison Fang against Venusaur, and that is GG's. 2 more games to go, trainers. I decided to lead my Swampert into this Whiscash, Mudboy versus Mudboy. In comes that Venusaur, and I think about staying in to land that Sludge Bomb, but I decide not to. I'm going to try to absorb this attack with Altaria, and it was Sludge Bomb. So at the last second, I decided to shield. I thought it might be a Frenzy Plant, but XFactor is too good. He is able to fire off the Sludge Bomb. Using these Dragon Breaths here to try to work down the Venusaur. In comes another Sludge Bomb, and my Altaria is now in the yellow. He's going to get to a third charge move here, and this is really out of hands. It's another Sludge Bomb, trainers, and Venusaur is such an animal. I definitely want to do a feature video on it soon, and if you want to see that, let me know in the comments down below, because if you really want to see it, I'll do it as soon as possible. I do fire off the Hydro Cannon here against Altaria, and as you can tell, it barely does any damage at all. Altaria is such a difficult Pokemon to deal with, even with a powerhouse like Swampert. I do fire off my Sludge Wave here, and it does get shielded. So in comes the Whiscash, and out comes Poliwrath. I'm in a very, very dire situation. Poliwrath is not going to be able to beat this Altaria, and I'm trying to think of ways to come back from this, but the Mud Bombs are going to bury us with this Chocolate Fountain, as Hero of Age would say. We just have no recourse to get out of here. I think about going for a double Dynamic Punch and then trying to maybe land a Hydro Pump on Altaria, but I don't think there's enough time. I actually try to fast move down this Whiscash. I'm going to defend against the final Mud Bomb, and we get there, but in comes Altaria with energy, and the Sky Attack is more than enough. Alright trainers, it's the last game of the video. I decided to lead Shiftry into Whiscash. In this situation, I really wanted to create a nightmare team for my opponent to see how he responded. I knew he was going to lead Whiscash, so I bring in my Shiftry. And then here I fire off the Foul Play. I do swap here into my Alolan Sandslash. So again, here I could have gone into Bronzong, but I wanted to go Alolan Sandslash just for the situation's sake. I'm going to absorb whatever attacks these are. Venusaur can't do much to Alolan Sandslash, even with the Frenzy Plant, so no need to shield. In comes that Whiscash, and I'm going to spam these Ice Punches as quickly as possible. Ice is super effective to ground, but Whiscash is also part water, so these Ice Punches aren't doing a whole lot, but they do enough. In comes Altaria, and that is why I should have gone into Bronzong against Venusaur, because I knew he had Altaria in the back, and Bronzong is definitely the superior counter. I'm going to farm up a lot of energy with Shiftry, and then go into my Bronzong to absorb this attack. Again, knowing your opponent's lineup, it's easy to create a doomsday team for them to go up against, but I think that's also an important part of practice as well, because if you can find that one win condition, a 1 in a million win condition where you can pull out a game, I think it's worth knowing that path. So if you face this team in a tournament, you can do something about it. So in comes that Whiscash. I'm going to go here for the Psyshock, which he does decide to shield. My switch timer is not up, so I'm hoping for the Mud Bomb, and that's exactly what we get. Bronzong's confusion is so oppressive that a lot of the time your opponent's going to have to use their charge moves to get out from under the weight of those fast attacks. Here comes my Shiftry, and we know how much Foul Play does. We bring down that Altaria for the win. XFactor, thank you so much for the games, man. These were so much fun. I really hope to battle you again soon, and I hope everyone watching enjoyed it, maybe learned a couple of things from it. If you already knew what was going on, that's great too. A lot of trainers are really practicing hard for Fusion, and I think it's going to be one of the funnest cups ever. So, trainers, if you want to see those 2 video concepts that I talked about, if you want me to expound upon those, things like the win condition scenario or the front-loading energy strategy, let me know, because I would love to make more videos about them if you're interested. Please leave me a like, comment, and subscribe to see more.